Good morning. I just wanted to have a real, just a candid conversation about trying to be governor in a political realm where there's not a lot of conversation about sacrifice. You know, um, the average citizen, the non political citizen, the citizen who doesn't get to have conversations behind closed doors, have their hands in the cookie jar before everybody even knows it's cookies. You understand sacrifice, we get what sacrifice looks like. Individuals get that, hey, I have to stop this in order to do this. And during that time of stopping this, you do feel what sacrifice is like. Now, you can't apparently govern from a standpoint of, I'm going to have us all sacrifice. But one of our biggest issues is there are policies and laws that are enacted that would require strain on the economy. They will require strain on the state in order to fix. And pointing those out will come, but it's a fact. So if you were to hear your candidate say, hey, this is not going to be perfect, you know, would you look at that as optimistic or pessimistic? Because it's kind of coming down to what is it that you just like to hear versus what you want to see. Do you like to hear but do not like to live what you want to see? And these are the kind of things that I think about when I want to be on this path of governor. Am I going to, or do I understand sacrifice? And can I convey that message in a way that continues to give you optimism that, you know what, he understands the struggle of sacrifice and what that looks like. Sometimes we look at our politicians today and we realize that the decisions they're making is because they have their hands in the cookie jar before anybody knows their cookies. Or, you know what? You just don't have access to the cookie jar at all. And I know that's a really juvenile way to present it. But the bottom line is there is economical uplifting out there that you just don't have access to. And a lot of that is it's kind of directing the way our current representatives represent us. Because if you had access to insider information and you also were on the board that is going to legislate how this works, what would it possibly take for you to say no to something that is going to better your life? What would it take for you to say no to something that's going to better your life? Because in bettering your life, the potential is to hurt everybody that you are representing. This is why we also have to vote for character. We cannot just vote for someone who makes us feel good. You have to see some form of character in your representative. That's why I go back and I look at some of my own videos and I think to myself, do I hear differences in the way I'm speaking? Put out relevant content to display my character. There's a lot of people that don't understand that there is nothing you can do a lot of times unless you are on a committee, unless you are part of that board. And when you get to be part of that board, then you have to shuffle around with how the rules are on that board so that you can put yourself in a position to be able to do something. This is kind of our issue with why we are bouncing back and forward between an authoritarian environment and a democracy environment. And right now, a lot of the things, I believe we're missing a lot of the democracy in what's going on. Your vote matters with the representative that you put in, but your vote doesn't matter with all of the laws or policies that I enact. And again, I did a video on policy. Understand that policies are just guidelines before they become a law through legislation. They're just guidelines. So if an individual tells you, if a representative tells you what they would like to do, and I'll give you a brief example. I'm still stuck on being able to get legislation in that will, for at minimum the first year and a half, 2 years I am in office, I'm going to reduce the percentage that individuals in this state can raise rent and mortgages on our citizens, to give us an opportunity to get a baseline understanding. Now, the reason this is complicated is because there are probably many laws that are already enacted or in place, or so it's one of those things. But I've been going through that Florida.gov website looking for legislation to legislate or slow down how we are being price gouged, and it's just not there. So maybe one of the bigger issues is our representatives are not bringing these things up. These are not far-fetched things. It would behoove us to say, hey, you cannot, if possible, raise rent or mortgages or, just these type of things that are affecting, like how people live for the next 2 years, so we can get a baseline idea of what this actually looks like. We're getting away from some crucial baseline ideas and baseline ideologies that we need to get back to. There are some understandings out there. And you know what? I kind of don't like that if you come up with a suggestion that without data, everyone already thwarts your suggestion. Sometimes you're going to need to get actual data. Now, we know right now that there has been a boom in individuals that own businesses that have raised prices. There has been a boom. It is everywhere. You can find this information everywhere. They have had record numbers. So if you've had 4 years to get record numbers, I think a year or two with your sustained data, you should be just fine. It's just coming to a point to where when you want, do you want to just hear or do you want someone to implement? And that's the biggest difference. These are things that I'm going to put, on the ballot to be voted for. And it's also something that I'm going to reach out to citizens to say, hey, is this at the baseline of this conversation? Is it something that you want? Understand that at the baseline of the conversation, is it something that you want? Would you be okay with your rent not moving, or your mortgage, or some of these prices not moving for a year? Just not moving, so that you can get a handle on what you're looking at. Now, keep in mind, there are nuances to this. There are other numbers and other factors that would go into play. But the baseline is, would this be beneficial? That's the kind of thought process that's necessary. But you have to be able to put that out. So I went to the, governor's website just to look for places where they ask the citizens about ideas that are coming through, because I know that in a city of, like 100, 200, 300,000 people, that when your city has any of these monthly meetings, that 10,000 people aren't showing up every day. Maybe not even 100 people, maybe not even 200 people. They're just not showing up like that. So where are we able to make this make sense? The building doesn't even hold 10,000 people. So how are we able to give our yays and nays in a way that the people who make policies are able to really say, okay, I've taken in this data and this is how many constituents in my area believe in what I'm putting out. That's something that's important. And technology today has gotten to a place where that's possible. So why don't we see it implemented? So what I'm saying is, stop giving credence and credit to individuals who are not utilizing their position to help the majority. The majority are screaming. It may not be on CNBC, NBC, CNN, all of those major news networks, but quite frankly, with the way I'm looking at society right now, they're not even watching all that. So again, I think it's time to really ask yourselves, do I want a representative that's going to let me know what it is I'm voting for? And that's kind of what's important to me. You guys have a great day.